Imagine the one from Fourth Wing spitting on someone and it being okay. I think you've been very unfair on this. I think this might be the hardest round we've had. Why don't you just go and be a booktuber?
I played a game and risked it all. A couple of weeks ago, I was reached out to by
HenkaReadsBooks.
and he challenged me to a battle of high stakes.
I think you're reading Twilight and I'm not.
The loser would have no choice but to read Twilight. It's a book I've not read since I was a teen, and all I know is that I don't want to spend another minute with Bella Swan and her broody vampire boyf. So I would have to work very, very hard to ensure that that didn't happen. But what is the game that we're gonna play? Henka and I began with a list of popular fantasy novels. We then split them off into twos and went off to find the most convoluted reviews we could find of each of our chosen books. The opposition would then have to guess which review was which. The game begun with Henka throwing me through a loop as I tried to work out which romantasy character would be allowed to do something truly disgusting to the reader and be able to get away with it.
First up, we have Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas and Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros.
Book 1. This is it. This is the stupidest book I've ever read. No. DNF at 51%. No. I'm a second away from dousing myself in gasoline and lighting myself on fire just so I never have to look at this book again. Book 2. If I had $1 million for every cliche in this book, of which there are a multitude, I'd still regret spending $20 on all 498 pages of this mess. Could spit on me and I would ask him to do it again.
Right, so there's nothing to go on at all. I'd regret spending $20 on all 498 pages of this mess. That's all I've got to go on. And that is my very limited knowledge of the amount of pages that are in these books. And I have a very limited knowledge on that because look, I don't remember Court of Thorn and Roses being massively long. And I don't think Fourth Wing is as short as 498 pages. That is the only thing I have to go on. And I don't know anything about these books, right? Is the guy from Court of Thorn and Roses like more attractive than the guy from Fourth Wing? Would the guy from Court of Thorn and Roses be allowed to spit on someone more than the person? But
It's such an interesting route you've taken.
Going down the route of this, okay? So we're going to go with the first book. The top one is Court of Thorn and Roses, and the second book is Fourth Wing. Oh, wait a minute, no, all the way around. I didn't mean it that way. No, the first one, is Court of... No, not that. Why I keep saying the wrong thing? No, the first one is Fourth Wing, and the second one is Court of Thorn and Roses, purely based on... Oh, no, wait, I'm so confused. I've confused myself, because I said I could imagine the one from Fourth Wing spitting on someone and it being okay, but then 498 pages is throwing me off. Okay, no, I'm going to go with it. I'm going to go with what I originally said wrong, that is actually right. The top one is Fourth Wing, and the bottom one is A Court of Thorn and Roses.
Final answer?
Locking it in.
Damn, you really should have let me keep talking, because I was about to say I am very impressed when you misspoke. And I said I am, and then you no. The first one is Akatar, and the second one is Fourth Wing.
Giving Henka his first point. Feeling frustrated that I'd allowed myself to overthink whether Tamlin or the guy from Fourth Wing would spit on me and that would be okay, instead of focusing on, the logical side, the page count, I moved on to my question with high hopes that I could make Henka slip up too.
Mistborn the Final Empire and Dungeon Crawler Carl.
And the thing is, I've not read Dungeon Crawler Carl either, so I don't really know what it's fully about. Got a bit of a vague idea, but I don't really know what it's about. So it was a tricky one to try and find one to hopefully try and throw you off, but I'll give it a go nonetheless. So,
did I really read the same book as other people here? A juvenile, shallow, rom-com caliber fantasy with terrible pacing, which reads like fan fiction of a video game? Book 2. I listened to this book off Reddit recommendation. LOL, as the narration was entertaining. I would have DNF, but I was stubborn because I spent an Audible credit on it. The story was not for me, and I will not continue the series.
So I think the video game fan fiction was to throw me off of Dungeon Crawler Carl, because that's popularly known as being similar to video games, or for people who like video games.
Okay.
But Mistborn, the magic system, is very video game like. And Brandon was actually inspired by a lot of video game stuff. And then for both of them could be Reddit recommendations, but I feel like Carl is more likely to be a Reddit recommendation. Mistborn's more of a booktube recommendation. I'm gonna go with 2-star is for Carl, and then 1-star is for Mistborn.
I really tried with this one. I really tried with
No.
that video game. But yeah, you saw right through it.
Meaning Henka takes the first round, leaving us with a score of 1-0. Honestly though, I thought that the last question was going to be the hardest I would face, but Henka had somehow found an even more devious set of reviews to throw me off.
All right, so Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone versus Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. Have you read either of these books?
I've read Harry Potter, and I've not read like Percy Jackson. It's another one that escaped me, I'm afraid. But Harry Potter I have read.
This is kind of similar to the last reviews, but I think there's a bit more. No, there's not too much more to go off of. There's a little bit more to go off of.
I mean, I was going to say, this is just getting really mean.
I started having a lot of fun with it. I didn't think about the fact that like this was.
Someone's going to have to figure something out, you know, just the part of the game that we have to do that bit. Remember that?
All right, so
Book 1. I'd buy it physically just to wipe my ass with the pages.
Bruh.
Book 2. Personally don't like it. It's too unrealistic to me. So this is the book everyone loves?
what do you think is what?
Listen, right? I think you've been very unfair on this. I think this might be the hardest round we've had.
Yeah, might be a little bit, but they're so good.
I have already released a video where I had to read every bad Harry Potter review I could find, right? And I have already seen one of these, which means that, yes, while you have completely messed with my brain, I can tell you right now that the first one is Percy Jackson, and the second one is Harry Potter.
Oh, you were right.
I did my hard work. I read lots of bad reviews. That might be the hardest round I've seen.
That was, yeah, you deserve that one.
Taking us to a score of 1-1. But that's okay, because I was confident that the next two reviews were so ambiguous that they would throw him off the scent.
We're going to go in here with Red Rising and Empire of Silence. I am so determined for you to not get this.
Book 1. Most of my friends who read this loved it. I was bored. I couldn't connect with any of the characters. Mostly, I found myself apathetic. Book 2. Teenager rebels, melodrama galore, black.
Have you read Empire of Silence?
No.
You gave yourself away, bud.
How'd I give myself away? What did I do wrong?
The 1-star is Empire of Silence, and the 2-star somehow is Red Rising. I don't know who could give it anything above a 1-star, and only because
Gave it away.
requires
So
you to give it a star.
what gave it away? You can't do this to me.
Melodrama. That word is used a lot to describe the main character.
But like, isn't Red Rising a little melodramatic at times? Like, come on, Darrow, man, come
But
on.
no, but like it like a catchphrase type almost.
Thankfully, he hadn't locked it in yet.
I'm gonna lock that in.
It is confirmed. Henka.
I feel bad for that one because if you had read Empire of Silence, I would have thought you were trying to trick me and like, okay, you just found somebody who happened to use melodrama, but since you didn't read it, I was like, he doesn't even know.
So there you have it, folks. Read more books. That brings us to a score of 2-1 to Henka by the end of the second round. Sure, I got a question wrong, and I could almost feel Edward Cullen's breath on the back of my neck, but what I haven't told you is that there's a cheeky extra detail that I'll explain to you at the end of the video. All you need to know is that there might be an opportunity for me to get more points, but before we talk about that, let's see how the third round went.
Game of Thrones or Light itself, as you said.
Book 1. Oh boy! Not a fan of writing reviews, especially not bad or nasty one. This book was flawed in lots of ways, and I couldn't get past 120 pages. Neist an editor, maybe. I don't get the hype, but maybe it's just not my thing. Dunno. Book 2. Couldn't finish this book. Too many characters with multiple names, bad writing, didn't enjoy it.
I refuse to hear that anyone said that first one about Game of Thrones. No way. Game of Thrones does not need an editor. You know,
A bit long.
I don't get the hype. I feel is your way of trying to throw me off. I feel like I've finally learned how to play this game on the last round.
On the last round, yeah.
I think
we're gonna have to do a couple more of these.
Too many characters is often a Game of Thrones thing. And the worst part about Game of Thrones characters is so many of them are named so similar as well. That really throws everyone for a loop because they've got such similar names, some of them. But no, I think I'm going to lock it in. I'm going to lock it in as the Blade itself, and then the second one has got to be Game of Thrones, yeah. Locking that in.
That is correct.
So, with the score at 2-2, the final question is, how did Henka fare in the final round?
Stormfront and Jade City.
Book 1. Since I do read in the urban fantasy genre, I knew I had to get here eventually, but I think that the series has been recommended to me to a point where I have developed unrealistic expectations. The writing is no joy, the narrator is far from being anyone of interest, and the setting seems rather generic to me. I think this can be a real treat for those who have not yet read urban fantasy as much, but to me it's fluff of the bad variety. I didn't even finish this one. Book 2. Page 1 to 25, all men. Page 26, a female character is mentioned and referred to as a bitch by a male character. Page 32, another female character is mentioned by a male character. For variety, this one is referred to as a whore. Page 42, finally a female character appears. She's half naked, never leaves her bed, and is there to provide very awkwardly written sex for a chauvinist male character. Page 50, at long last, a non-sexualized female character appears on the page, but too late for me, alas.
I'm quite positive you've tried to trick me here. Dresden is panned as being sexist and misogynistic, which it is. Jade City is written by a woman, so I would.
I'll be honest with you, I'm going to pitch in here and say I genuinely did not know that Dresden was.
Oh, okay.
Is that looking at reviews?
Well, okay. I'm still going to go over my thinking.
Okay. Yeah.
The second one, because then I'm very surprised, because that's like the biggest criticism of Dresden is that it's misogynistic. So that second review just sounds like misogyny. You wouldn't expect to be written by a woman, but I've read both. Well, I've read Stormfront, and I've read the first like 150 pages of Jade City before I put it down.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's sex in Stormfront. I know there's sex in Jade City, and it's awkward. And I don't think there's that even that many women in Stormfront. It's like 2. Had to get here eventually. That's telling me Stormfront and Dresden too. So I'm gonna go for the sweep. And Dresden is since I do read in the urban fantasy, and then page 125, all men, that's Jade City.
Locked in?
I got it. Locked in. I got it.
You did it. Well done.
Sweet.
Congratulations. Very, very well played. Very well played. And I actually think you've got such a good understanding of the way books are reviewed. Why don't you just go and be a booktuber?
But the game doesn't end there.
I'll be honest with you, I've read both of them. I don't remember troll testicles appearing in either of them.
When testicles come up in books, I typically remember it.
Because this video is in 2 parts, and if you're wondering why we're talking about a troll's dangly bits, then don't forget to head over to the Henka Reads Books channel right now to see the second part and do the math to find out who will be doing a reading vlog of Twilight.
And after you've watched my video and figured out who's going to win this game, why don't you head on over to this video here and read some more terrible reviews with Maxwell about Harry Potter.